The Brotherhood quite literally got another one. Kager Knueppel, welcome to the Duke basketball family. Let's go.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. It's so great to have you here with us today on this Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. Hard to believe it. It's the final day of June, and on today's show, we've got a banger. We're going to talk about Kager Knueppel last night becoming the first commit in the class of 2027 for John Scheyer and Duke basketball, what it means for this squad, some other recruiting updates, and then later today, we have the start of NBA free agency. Several Duke basketball players could be looking for new homes, new opportunities. We'll see where all our conversation takes us today with our pal Jeff Fedotin from Forbes, who's kind enough to join us right now here on the show. The Brotherhood literally got another member with Kager Knueppel making a great decision. We love it. He's going to play basketball at Duke.
JJ, awesome to be here. And yeah, I was going to place a wager over under how many Brotherhood references we could squeeze in with this Kager Knueppel commitment. Very exciting stuff, though.
Yeah, take the over, people, because just all the juice. Duke already is the Brotherhood itself, and now more literal brothers are a part of the family, as of course Kager Knueppel's younger brother. He's got four more. And we'll see how many of the five ultimately end up playing for Duke. But now we know it'll be two, as Kager Knueppel, the 6'10" forward, has decided, you know what? I want to play basketball at Duke. That's pretty incredible.
Pretty incredible. And he's got a pretty incredible skill set, too. Very different than Kager. He's got the same court savvy and all that, all the intangibles that Kager certainly brought to Duke and now brings us to the Hornets. But he's 6'10", JJ, and 6'10", really sweet shooting big man. Looking down the road, JJ, I'm really excited if you pair Boumtje, who's a big with a great shooting stroke, with Kager Knueppel. Man, you've got some bigs who can really shoot it. I'm not including Cam Williams in that mix because I'd be very surprised if he's not headed toward the NBA at that standpoint, but really like what we could do with the shooting bigs at that point.
Yeah, good call on your part, man. Just thinking about the ability to play five out, stretch out with all these guys. Obviously, Gangba has taken three-point shots over the last couple of seasons. The percentage hasn't necessarily been there for Duke. But now with Boumtje stepping out, Williams doing that this season, and now you can add in more of Kager Knueppel. I'm going to be really interested to see just how more his body continues to fill out. As we talked about a little bit on yesterday's program, being so young, and as we said, already being taller than his brother Kager, does he turn into more of a traditional front court player, or is he just a super tall wing? That's going to be really exciting to see the type of player that Kager Knueppel is able to develop into, because if he's also just, running up and down as a really large wing, that's a really fun visual to think about too.
I know, it's really exciting to think of what Duke could do with all these matchups. And it reminds me a little bit that you're talking about these shooting bigs, kind of the style that like Wisconsin used to play, Bo Ryan era, thinking guys like Frank Kaminsky. And that's an interesting team to mention because obviously the Knueppels are from Wisconsin. Wisconsin wanted Kager Knueppel very badly. I think they thought the Badgers thought they had a really good shot at him. I'm sure they wanted Kager badly too. So it's kind of a whole Wisconsin thing we've got going there.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the decision here for Kager Knueppel to come and play at Duke. Earlier this summer, we talked about him wanting to have his own journey, wanting to be recruited for himself, but everyone knew that the Duke storyline would be a part of it. The narrative would be there with his brother having played for the Blue Devils and played so well, might we add. But ultimately, storylines aside, Duke was the best fit for Kager Knueppel, and he makes the decision to come and play for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, it's funny, JJ. I thought this might happen eventually, but I had read all those stories too. I'm like, all right, he's going to take his time. He might not want to follow in his brother's footsteps. He might want his own path. And here we are. I thought this was a possibility. I didn't think he was going to be the first guy to commit for that. So it's yeah, very cool.
Yeah, none of this was on our radar, Jeff,
Right,
that we would be
right.
seeing Kager Knueppel commit this early in June, but ultimately he does. I think it's also really cool. He announced it on Twitter last night and then was able to also go and post it on Instagram as well. Both brothers so far, Con and Kager, incredibly inactive on social media, like non-existent on social media platforms. And then it's like, welcome into the world, welcome into social media. My first post is announcing that I'm going to be playing basketball at Duke. I mean, literally following in his brother's footsteps. There's no social media presence for these guys, a bit of the opposite of their mom, as Sherry Knueppel and Con One, their father are going to be back in the mix for Duke basketball games. They're a bit more vocal on social media themselves than their sons have been so far.
Totally. And maybe another similarity, in addition to being kind of social media verse for these guys, is just the way that their stock is really ascending. When Con Knueppel committed to Duke, he was kind of out of nowhere, and he eventually became a big recruit. But even then, he wasn't a McDonald's All-American. Actually, he was still ranked highly, but he kept just rising in the rankings. Kager the same way, that Duke was kind of following him, but the narrative was that maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was going to be like Cooper Flagg's brother, a guy you like, but just not quite talented enough to follow his brother to Duke. But he kept growing, literally and figuratively. He kept getting taller and also better at basketball. And Con, his trajectory just kept going. At some point during his year at Duke, you're like, all right, well, he's going to be one and done.
Yeah.
But I didn't think he was going to be going fourth overall. And when he went fourth overall, I didn't think he was going to be all rookie team and the second in rookie of the year. And so I'm excited that hopefully Kager can continue this same ascent that Con did.
Yeah, Kager Knueppel, welcome into the Brotherhood. He posted it on Twitter, on X. The Brotherhood just got bigger, again. Really awesome post. It's him in the Duke jersey, and then the photo from Con's visit to Duke, where all 5 brothers in the Knueppel family were holding 5 national championship trophies. So pretty special. We'll see what Kager's able to do with the Duke Blue Devils. We'll continue to talk about his story and what it means for Duke getting their first commitment of the 2027 class when our show continues here in a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. It's the biggest stage in world soccer, and it's here. Every match, it feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. FanDuel giving fans another reason to stay locked in to every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals mean more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. Super fun to watch. USA back in action tomorrow night versus Bosnia. Go check out all of the great deals for that one that FanDuel has to offer, as you can now benefit from each goal scored. From opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Kager Knueppel is the newest brother of the Duke basketball family, newest commit as he joins the Brotherhood, first commit in the class of 2027, and the younger brother of former Duke star Con Knueppel. It's a class in which people are curious how many top-level recruits Duke will be able to bring in. The last few years, John Scheyer has hinted at, maybe I'm only going to take 2 or 3, and yet we still end up with 5 or 6. In each freshman recruiting class. You continue to find out that the best players in the sport want to come play at Duke, and it's really hard for the head coach to say, no, we're okay. We don't really want you to come play here.
How do you turn down this 5-star
guys?
Yeah,
I don't know that you can.
Right. I mean, the philosophy, I get it, makes sense, because you can now get guys in the portal and, so maybe to shrink the recruiting classes, but when you can get the best of the best, the model has certainly worked. It's going to be really interesting this coming year to see who Duke gets in the backcourt, because with this new rule, guys potentially being able to stay 5 years, and Duke has such a loaded backcourt, who who does Duke bring in a guy like a Beckham Black, or is Duke so loaded? Does Caleb Foster come back for a 5th year? Does Caden Boozer return? So JJ, yeah, I'm really going to be interested to see how this philosophy goes into effect for this coming year.
For sure. And so the recruit so far for the Blue Devils in 2027 features Kager Knueppel. He is, according to 247 Sports, the number 28 player in the entire country, best player in the state of Wisconsin. He's got 4 stars. He's rated at 94. That's going to continue to get better. His EYBL numbers for Team Hero right now are just silly, shooting 50.7% from three-point range on 7 attempts a game. Wow. It's insane that he's able to knock it down at that great of a rate. And now thinking about the other kind of ball movers and then more spacers potentially that can make up the rest of this 2027 class.
I mean, those shooting numbers, that's an astounding number for anyone, especially somebody who's 6'10". And JJ, the other part about that, I mean, he stands out on his own, but it is great whenever you can bring somebody, when you can bring a Knueppel into the program. What I mean by this is, how good this family is. And so you would err on and maybe give him, like, if his last name was something else, he absolutely deserves the scholarship, but you would kind of err on the side of, he's going to be a hard worker. He's going to bring the intangibles. I'm going to just have one quick digression about Khan and just shows what kind of guy he is and how well he was raised for that family. Again, he wasn't in the McDonald's All-American game because he was a late riser. So the first time I saw him and interviewed him was in the Jordan Brand Classic. I actually interviewed him and Cooper Flagg together, and they were perfectly nice. Knueppel had like a little shiner under his eye, showing how he was always like a bulldog mentality. And then we finished the interview, and Con Knueppel comes right up to me and shakes my hand. Nobody else when I interview does that, but that's the classy guy he was. Cooper Flagg actually walked away and came back to did the same thing. And the last Con Knueppel note was just like how they go to the Ronald McDonald House for the McDonald's All-American game. The Jordan Brand Classic, they would help out at a charter school, and I was there kind of observe. Nobody was more engaged with the students and doing like cool handshakes and like rooting them on as they were shooting on little goals than Khan. And
that's fun.
The reason I'm giving this digression is just shows how well he was raised and how good a family the Knueppels are. So really excited to have another Knueppel on board at Duke.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear, and to think about. Again, they were just raised right.
Exactly.
And, raised in a big basketball family. I mean, heck, they're not even on social media until they make these big college decisions, like right. Where they're going. That's insane nowadays when you look at that. So commit number 1 in the class of 2027, and we'll see who else could join him. Beckham Black is a name that we've mentioned before, the younger brother of Anthony Black, who plays for the Orlando Magic. We've seen Caden Daughtry's name brought up, who's on Team USA right now as a guard, playing alongside Boumtje. Adan Diggs received a scholarship offer over the weekend from Duke. And then A.J. Williams, the top player in 2028, there's rumors he possibly could reclassify to 2027. Duke's in a really good position there. We'll see ultimately if he decides to commit to the Blue Devils. But like we said, there's no shortage of talent even still in this 2027 class. And I think John Scheyer is going to go after several of them.
I'm really curious to see how the Beckham Black recruitment process goes. One, like I said, Duke is so loaded at point guard. They could have. There's a world. I think that John Blackwell would go pro, and again, he's a little bit more of a 2 guard. But there's a world that you could have Foster, Caden Boozer, and Darren Reppy back. So where Black fits in, and also that recruitment, you would think that Musselman at USC, who coached, I believe Musselman coached his brother at Arkansas, connection there. I'm sure Calipari, with that, his brother having gone to Arkansas, that recruitment is going to be wild and fun to watch for a really good player.
Yeah, look, it's another brother that we're talking about, right? That
there you go, the
big basketball success.
Over.
Unfortunately, Becca, like we said, it's not attached to the brotherhood within Duke quite yet, but maybe Beckham Black can change that. So before we go to our last time out here, Jeff, kind of spitballing some things here. I know a lot of people online were thinking about the great line of brothers in which we've seen come through this Duke basketball family. Let's talk about that for a moment. When you think about 3 Plumlee brothers made their way through this Duke basketball world, Trey and Tyus Jones, both incredible point guards for Duke that we've seen. Just had a pair of brothers that are twins in Cameron and Caden, who played on the squad just 1 season ago, and now we'll see Caden Boozer come back for his next season. Now you've got Kager Knueppel following in his older brother Khan's footsteps. It's been that's just within the last 15, 20 years that there's been such a big run there at Duke.
Really incredible. And another fun part about this, one thing that's a little bit of a bummer about the college landscape now is these really good guys we get Cam Boozer for 1 year. We get Khan Knueppel for 1 year. We also only got Jones for 1 year, though his brother, we got Tyus for 1 year. So it's like, it extends it. It's like you get more by having the brother come. It's like you get another year. It makes it that much more special.
Right. Yeah. The fact that the guys that were there for such a big career, when I'm starting to evaluate though, and kind of tearing them off and whatnot, Jeff, it's hard pressed to top the Plumlee brothers so far.
When you get 3 guys, that's absolutely
in volume, and they all won national championships.
Titles. Yeah, it's really incredible that each one won a national championship.
Yeah.
I agree too. I might give the edge to Boozer, and there's some recency bias here, but Cam did win player of the year, and you got his dad too. That's not sure. Brotherhood, but I get the Plumlees.
We can make it Duke family, so that's good. Yeah, the Boozers are right up there. They want to have a big seat at the let us know in the comments what you think in terms of ranking it. You brought up the Plumlees though, and you're right, by volume, with the fact that there are 3 of them compared to just these 2 that we've been talking about for the other brothers. Wingspan, height, I mean, quite literally, when you think about how massive all the Plumlee brothers are, the fact that Miles and Mason won the national championship as John Scheyer's teammates in 2010, and then Marshall Plumlee is a part of the 2015 squad. Marshall Plumlee doesn't get enough love, I don't think, when you think back to what his career turned out to be and contributing on that 2015 squad. So I'm hopeful that we continue to have more brother conversations within the Duke basketball world.
Absolutely. And they all played in the NBA. For Marshall, it was not as long. It was kind of a cup of coffee. The Knicks, JJ, a cool Marshall Plumlee story. He was a Mark Bartelstein client who's based in Chicago, where I am. And I saw, to see somebody just out in the world is so cool. And then I was working out one day, and there was a basketball court at the FFC gym. So I saw Marshall Plumlee, and I actually happened to be wearing a Duke shirt. So it was so cool. He actually said, "I like your shirt." Like, it was so cool. And,
so fun.
And I thanked him for, like, "Oh man, for all you do." He's like, "No, I could never thank Duke more for what they did." This is so cool because we've both got a chance to interview Duke players and stuff, but to kind of see one in the wild and have a Duke shirt on, that was so maybe personally, that boosts the Plumlee brotherhood a little bit.
For sure. For sure. And then, the military experience that Marshall has turned into quite a career and serving our country and whatnot. So pretty incredible stuff there for Marshall Plumlee. Now we'll see. We've got 2 Knueppels, 3 more still to go. It's Khan and Kager so far, but still we'll see what happens in the recruitments of Cash, Kidman, and Kinston. Again, all K-letter names within the Knueppel family. Who knows, Jeff? Maybe we're going to be talking about more future commitments in the years to come.
And good for you, JJ. Man, you're the consummate Duke fan and Duke expert. When you know the names of all the Knueppel brothers, I'm impressed, man.
I've already started visualizing what they're going to look like in the back of a Duke media guide when they're suiting up for the Blue Devils, man. But Kager Knueppel, big-time commitment here to Duke. Jeff Fedotin from Forbes hanging out with me. Jeff, tell people all about your work and where they can find and support you.
Yeah, JJ, thanks for giving me this platform. You can find all my content at Forbes.com and just look for my name, Jeff Fedotin, Fedotin. It might seem like a slow part of the sports schedule, but it's not. As we've seen, it's certainly busy for Duke, and it's going to pick up soon with NFL content. Training camp starting out soon, and I've got some off-season projects I'm working on too.
Jeff Fedotin from Forbes hanging out with us here on Locked On Blue Devil. Again, such an exciting commitment for Kager Knueppel to be joining Duke basketball. And speaking of exciting news, what a busy day it is here on Tuesday, June 30th. A little bit later tonight, we will see NBA free agency open up. Trades are happening all over the place. Duke players on the move. Duke coaches that are now leading NBA franchises trying to figure out who's on my team and other top storylines. We'll dive into all that and more here in just a moment. Guys, thank you so much for making Locked On Blue Devils your first listen and your first watch here today. For your second listen, make sure you go check out Locked On College Basketball. Isaac Shade and Andy Patton do a remarkable job of keeping you updated about everything that's happening in the wide world of sports and in the wide world of college basketball specifically. So go check out their show. Also, go ahead and consider joining our Everydayer Club here with us at Locked On. It's your opportunity to get Locked On Blue Devils ad-free. You can do that by going to lockedonbluedevils.supercast.com or click the link down in the show notes below. It's the Everydayer Club. Don't miss it. A chance to get into our Discord channel and so much more. The Everydayer Club here with Locked On Blue Devils. All right, last few moments here on the show today. And as we said just a moment ago, it is NBA free agency time a little bit later. We already saw a couple of big trades play out. Giannis Antetokounmpo on his way from Milwaukee to Miami kind of started the avalanche of it all. Over the weekend, we saw the Hornets make yet another trade, talking about the Knueppel family. Con Knueppel becoming their guy, the guy that the Hornets organization want to build around alongside Brandon Miller, as they've now traded out LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges. In return, Grayson Allen comes into the mix, and that is so exciting. Grayson Allen has been one of the top three-point shooters in the entire NBA, averaging 14, 15, 16 points over the last few seasons, and now he's going to team up with the likes of Con Knueppel and Sion James. Doesn't get better than that, seeing three guys on a Duke team. Playing for the Suns a year ago, Grayson Allen was one of three Duke players when you factor in Mark Williams and Kaman Malawach, a part of the bunch. And the Hornets, for a little while last season, had three Duke players when they had Con Knueppel, Sion James, and Mason Plumlee before trading Plumlee out the door and off to another organization. Today so far, we've already seen rumors that Kawhi Leonard is going to be traded back to the Toronto Raptors, who he won an NBA championship with in 2019. Involved in that deal is Brandon Ingram. That was big capital that the Raptors had to include in the trade to the Clippers. So Ingram to Los Angeles. He started his career, remember, in LA with the Lakers. So now he's on the Clippers side of things in Los Angeles to continue his career. And when he's been healthy, Brandon Ingram has been an all-star before in this league. A great scorer, a great shooter. I'm excited to see what he's able to do once he gets back out to Cali and kind of rejuvenates his career. Major news in sports today was LeBron James, at over 40 years old, making a decision that he is not going to be returning to the LA Lakers. He's going to seek another team. People talking a lot about possibly teaming up with Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. Maybe it's a return to the Cleveland Cavaliers, Miami Heat. Maybe LeBron throws a curveball and joins another team. Hey, come to our state. Come play with the Charlotte Hornets. That would be fun, LeBron. But what's notable here is, of course, JJ Redick, our beloved Duke basketball figure, current head coach of the LA Lakers, no longer going to be coaching LeBron James. JJ's done a great job, but now they truly build that franchise around Luka Doncic, and I know JJ Redick's going to be scheming up a lot of awesome plays for them. Again, Lindsey Harding, former Duke women's basketball great, whose jersey number is retired in the rafters, is an assistant coach for the Lakers under JJ Redick. Justin Robinson is the director of player development for the Lakers coaching staff, so a lot of ties there. And then, guys, there are just several other Duke players that have big free agency decisions. Luke Kennard, one of them who played with the Lakers a year ago. Excited to see where he ends up. And we'll be able to give you kind of those updates all throughout the week here on Locked On Blue Devils. You can follow me on X. I'll be on top of it as well at _JJ_Jackson_. Be sure to follow us, the show, on X as well at LO_Blue Devils. So that'll do it for our show. Subscribe to us for free wherever it is that you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Take a moment, if you will, like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's keep climbing. Subscribe. Would love for you to be a part of our YouTube channel here with Locked On Blue Devils. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.